Welcome back to Design Bundle's YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Crystal, and today I'm going to show you guys how to apply adhesive vinyl to a tumbler. So you guys have probably seen these super cute tumbler wraps, and you wonder how they're done. So today we're going to do that on this little cup right here. So I've already removed my lid and everything else. So I've got a couple squeegees here, and I've got one I'm using to apply my adhesive vinyl and one that I'm using to hold my tumbler still. So this right here with these, it's really cool because they have this middle piece that kind of helps hold them still. Now, I may not end up having to, use this. You may want to kind of hold it up and do it. But if you need to help stabilize your tumblers, definitely try these squeegees out. So you want a couple on hand, one to use, one to hold your tumblers. So you're also going to need some transfer tape as well as some scissors, obviously weeding tool and things like that. A few more things is some parchment paper. So the parchment paper is going to allow us to figure out that placement before we actually lay it down. Now I do have another piece of parchment paper. You could use the same color. These are just already pre-cut sheets for me. And this is going to allow us to pick these up at the same time. You guys will see in a second. So I've already cut out and weeded out this design. This is a super cute Easter one. I'll have it linked down below for you guys. So this is 4 different layers. So what I want to do is I'm not going to try to lay these on here one at a time. I'm actually going to attach all of these together and then I'm going to apply it on the tumbler. So let me show you guys how we're going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and start with my green leaves here, and then I'm going to go in with my carrots, and then I'll probably come in with those bunnies and then the flowers. So that's just the way that I'm going to do it. So for our first layer here, what I want to do is I want to cut a piece of transfer that is going to fit everything. So I want to make sure, even though this one may be a little bit smaller, this is my biggest design, I want to make sure it's going to be like that. Our length is going to be the same, so I just need to cut it pretty much our width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get me a nice big piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and start it right here on top of this, and then we'll cut away the excess. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down. All right, so I'm going to go down just like a taco and then smooth everything out. Take my scissors here, cutting a little bit extra just to make sure there's enough for the next layer, just like so. All right, so let's pick up our original layer here, which is this, our carrots. So I'm gonna go ahead, I don't have to rub the whole kit and caboodle since these are individual. I'm just gonna start rubbing all of the little carrot pieces so that way I can pick them up on my transfer. All right, I think we've got one more over here. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we are going to flip it over and we are going to remove this. If anything's trying to come up with you, just lay it back down and keep on trucking. So I'm gonna keep on going here. I've got one little piece trying to go with me. All right, just like that. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring in that parchment now. And I'm going to go ahead and get this piece down. I'm just making sure I'm bringing in that parchment just to be safe in case anything's going to, I don't want to touch these obviously to my countertop because they're going to come off on my countertop. So with the parchment protecting us underneath, I'm going to start to figure out where these go. So I'm trying to make sure I'm lining these up right where they belong. One thing that you can do is if you're struggling, bring in that, and the reason why you really want like a white instead of this color here for this part, you want to be able to see through it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this guy down, just like that. And now I'm going to lay this right on top of that because it's not going to stick. So now what I'm doing is I'm moving that piece of parchment, I'm hovering it above this design here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and figure out about where this goes. You can always refer back to your design just to make sure you're placing this where it belongs. All right, so I believe this is where this is going to go. So what I can do now is I'm going to start to roll that under just a little bit. Grab me a corner here. As you guys can see, it will not stick to that parchment. I'm going to roll that back, and I'm going to go ahead I'm going to get down my first little carrot, just like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hold this up at an angle. I'm going to remove that butcher paper, parchment paper, if you will. And then we're gonna lay this down. So you guys can see, now that was able to go down super smooth. I wasn't trying to make sure everything, because once you stick that down, you're over with. All right, so same thing. I'm just gonna go in. I don't need to rub the carrots again. Those are already stuck to the transfer. I just need to go by and rub every single green leaf. All right, once you've got all those down, we're gonna do the same thing. Flip it over, hold it at an angle here, and peel. All right, there we go. So we are going to lift this up. You guys can see how cool that's looking. Now we're gonna go ahead and come in with that next layer, which is our little bunnies here. Same thing, I wanna be nice and safe, so I'm gonna cover it with that parchment, and then I'm gonna lay this down. Now this time, you guys can see I've got a little bit that's gonna go on the parchment. That's gonna help us get rid of the other parchment easier. So we're just going to line everything up, making sure everything's going where it's supposed to. All right, so once I'm happy with it and I think it's where it needs to be, I'm gonna lay it down this side here, remove that parchment, making sure the other guy's staying still. And then I'm gonna lay this down. So I'm just gonna go from one side to the next. And then same thing, I'm just gonna rub the bunnies because everything else has been attached. So I'm gonna run through here and pick up all of those bunnies. Now, once again, you could always have your design open so that way you guys can see your design and make sure you're lining everything up properly. So we are ready for that last layer here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And now we are ready for this last layer here. So I'm going to go ahead and come back in one more time with that parchment paper. So I just realized I need to flip this guy around. I had it in the wrong angle. All right, just like so. All right, so same thing. I just need to rub down all of those flowers. All right, so we are ready to remove our backing. All right, looks great. So here you guys have it. Hopefully you guys can see through here. How cute is this color combo? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that, what I would consider my clear parchment, my white parchment where I'm gonna be able to see through, and I'm gonna get this guy on here just like so. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up. I'm gonna take my little squeegee here, get my tumbler on here, so that way we can get everything lined up and it's gonna help hold that for us. So what we need to do now is I'm going to find the center of my design here that's on my cup. So say I'm happy with this. I'm going to roll around here. I'm just making sure when I go to do this, everybody's going to line up nicely. I think I could possibly scoot down just a little bit. And then just kind of figuring that out, making sure everybody's going to line up good. Feels like I need to angle this maybe just a little bit this way. All right, I think that's probably good, so I'm going to roll with it. So once you're happy with it and you think that everything is going to be nice and good, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this back a little bit, just like so. I'm going to take my scissors here, and you definitely don't have to use the parchment, but if you want to make sure these are lining up nice before you commit, you could do that. And so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull nice and tight so you guys can see that there. I'm getting these pieces down first. So I know this is where I want to start from one side to the next. So hopefully you guys can see this. So I'm getting these pieces down first. I can see if I can get that one right there. And so everything's looking good. So what I'm going to be able to do is come backwards, remove this parchment, and very carefully I should be able to work my way from one side to the next. So nice and slow, I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap this just like this. So you guys can see I'm being nice and slow, and I'm just going to go ahead and start wrapping this all the way around. So you could definitely hold it like this, so you got a little bit more control, and then work your way this way. So you may want to have one hand down like this, just to make sure everything's running smoothly. We are almost to the other side. And so what we need to do now is that we're to this other side. I'm going to go ahead and rub this down. So we're going to use our squeegee just to rub this in and make sure everything's adhered. You can really do this with your hands too. So you just want to make sure before we add this, because we need to wrap it around this side. We're going to go ahead and start to rub everything down just to make sure nothing's going to move on us. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way from this side and peel. So once I think I'm far enough down the line, so something about like this, I can now come back and keep on wrapping. All right. So you guys can see how everything's lining up. If you feel like something's going to overlap like this flower right here, I just wouldn't lay it down. So I've got, you know, so I've got this little leaf here. I've got this flower here. So what I'll do is I'm going to rub this down. Rub, rub, rub. Rub this leaf. But I don't want this flower to go down. I want my bunny to lay down. So I'm going to go ahead and get my bunny and my carrot and this flower. And I think I can also get this leaf right here. So now all of these pieces are excess. So I need to lay this piece down. I'm trying to take a piece of my carrot. All right, so now that we have our full wrap going around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in. I'm going to rub, rub, rub all of these pieces here that we haven't got yet. And so that way now I can start to peel this to get it to release. So if anything's trying to come up with you, slow down. I've got a piece of carrot here trying to come up with me. As you guys can see here, how super cute did this come out. If you have any pieces that came down here, you guys can definitely just kind of press those into that lower part of the tumbler. But as you guys can see, that came out super cute. So this may seem a little bit scary or intimidating. It truly is not. It's going to take a little bit more time and tedious. I highly recommend that you guys use that parchment paper trick so you guys can really see where that's going to go before you guys fully commit. Now, I will say if you guys are not super beginner, it may be easier, or even a beginner, it may be easier for you, like I showed you, to come down like a taco first and come in this direction and just wrap it. So if you guys are total pros, or if you guys even as a beginner want to try it, definitely come down as a taco and wrap it all the way around, and you can do that as well. Just remember to slow down because you may have some over wrap there. So you guys can definitely use these pieces. So say for example, I decided that I want to bring in, you know, one more small carrot maybe right in here. I could definitely do that. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this little carrot guy right here. Just use my fingernail to rub that in. All right, and peel. So you guys can see that I was able to just kind of pop one or two more in there. So same thing, you know, if I decide that I want to come down here and maybe add one more little flower, I could definitely do that. So feel free to use those extras, you know, wherever you need to add more filling. And then you're just simply going to insert your straw and your lid. Now, whenever it comes to adhesive vinyl, you always want to let it set for 48 to 72 hours. Let it set to fully cure to your tumbler before you wash these. And I would highly recommend hand washing, and also make sure that you guys are using a permanent vinyl. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.